AFK combat training. Boom. That is the top line. That's what the Gemstone Crab is for. It's big, it's colourful and shiny, and people like big, colourful and shiny things. The thing to really note is the crab doesn't have health. The crab doesn't care how many people are fighting it. The crab is functionally immortal. People know what they want to do with sand crabs. They want to sit there, let the game play itself. We wanted to mirror that experience in a colourful, scaled-up environment and make it collaborative rather than competitive. You're not worried about someone showing up and ruining your XP rates. It's only really a threat to very low hit points and very low defense players, but you still get that same experience of just clicking and forgetting and doing something else on the side. Eventually, your time will be up, and the crab will burrow into the ground. You'll see everyone rushing to the cave nearby and pop out where the next location the crab has moved to. And if you're in one of the top 16 players, you can mine a gem from its remains. But that is the only reward, actually. It's a nice little extra if you deal a bunch of damage to the crab compared to everyone else. I've managed to bring back a fun little character I introduced in Varlamore Part 1. They're very excited to tell you all about where the crab is and what it's up to.
I'm Mod Halo, a technical designer on the Old School team. The Final Dawn, it leads on from the Heart of Darkness, and from those that know, that had quite the dramatic end, and this quest is no different. Expect some twists, some turns, some difficult encounters, but for those that experience it, you'll finally see how their story ends. So the Final Dawn starts in the Sunrise Palace. You would have to complete Heart of Darkness and the Perilous Moons quest. I'd recommend at least combat level 100. We've got a general theme going through the quest, which we use in all the puzzles and most of the combat encounters that we don't really see in other quests. So in terms of reward, we've got runecrafting XP, thieving XP, fletching XP, a combat XP lamp, access to the Crypt of Tenali, and the most anticipated update of all, the Doom of Mokhaiotl. In terms of quests outside of the Final Dawn, well, you'll just have to see.
I'm Mack, and I'm a game designer on Old School. The Doom boss is the latest endgame piece of PVM content being added to Old School. The premise behind it is that every time you defeat it, instead of killing it, it digs down into the ground and kind of gains power from the corrupted earth. It increases up to 8 times with difficulty steps each way. So once you get to level 8 and you go in again, you're rolling at the highest loot potential. So the idea is that you want to go in and sort of stay at level 8 for as long as you can before you decide that you're exhausted or you've run out of supplies and you want to leave. Rewards from the Doom boss, we have the Avernic Treads, which are a new Tribrid boot. These are assembled from the 3 Cerberus boots. We also have the Confliction Gauntlets, which are a new best in slot magic glove. These will boost your magic accuracy by re-rolling your attack roll if you miss an attack. Lastly, we have the Eye of Ayak, which is a new 3-tick wand, which we think bridges the gap between the Sanguinetti staff and the Shadow of Tumagun quite nicely. We tried to offer rewards from the Doom, which felt appropriate for the difficulty that the boss is at, while also leaving us some room at the top end for mega rares from raids. The journey to the final design of the Doom boss was quite interesting. It's hard to create something that really tests people at that end, while also maintaining a level of repeatability and not making the player feel burned out. It was quite heavily inspired by the Leviathan and Muspa, and there's definitely some elements of that in there, so players that enjoyed those bosses from Old School will definitely feel at home here, and if not, then soz.
I'm Mod Squid, and I'm a systems designer on Old School RuneScape. The fletching update for Varlamore Final Dawn involves some Ents that are wandering around the Auburn Valley. If you head over there, you'll see them wandering about between various sites that they are worshipping at. When you get there, you'll find a friendly person called Ranulf, and if you help him out, he will show you how to build totems and pay homage to the spirits of the forest. Balancing XP rates with this update is a tricky one. We've sort of positioned it more at the high level, so you'll be fletching your bows as usual up to sort of around U level, and then the activity starts to become better than just bank standing and doing bows. But also there is running around in the activity, so you can fletch your bows as you run about. To integrate this with the broader economy, you need to decorate your totems with bows or stocks or shields that you've fletched from the wood you're using to build the totem. You can use all the items you've been training fletching up to decorate your totems, and that will then put more demand on logs and those items for people who just want to do the activity. And additionally, from the activity itself, you'll get these new Emp branches, which will be in demand for crafting atlatl darts and new cosmetic items. You use the Emp branches to craft the shafts, and then you'll also use some antlers that are dropped from the custodian stalkers in another part of Varlamore Final Dawn to craft the heads. We're really excited to see how players approach this new update with a more active fletching method. We're really interested to see how people come up with different routes, different ways of fletching on the go, and generally collaborating to figure out the best way to approach the content.
I've ended up being very involved in the new Slayer creatures. We've got 3 tiers of Custodian Stalker, so technically we've got 3 new Slayer creatures. From a narrative perspective, we know it's hostile Custodia Pass. It's been shut for ages. People haven't really gone through there. We've got these creatures that kidnap and eat people, so why not ground that in a narrative of missing people from a nearby town? Just gives this reason for them to exist in the way that they are. And of course, there is a small quest to unlock them. You need to be introduced to them. You need to understand the threat they pose and the impact they have on the local area. The drops are the draw for people, and each tier of Custodian Stalker is going to have a slightly different use case for slaying. You're going to get broken antlers. These will be a part of crafting atlatl darts for yourself, so you won't have to keep running Moons of Peril to keep yourself supplied. You'll be able to grab alchemist signets. These are plucked from the bones and the undigested bits of traveling alchemists and people traveling with herbal supplies. The real big bit is the Antler Guard, our wonderful new Tribrid offhand, designed mostly for chill and kill Slayer. Flexibility here was like such a huge part of how we were designing the Stalkers and the drop table, and just, it's all really satisfying. Everyone's really excited to do this kind of horror twist on a Slayer creature. We're delving into a kind of horror that Old School hasn't really touched yet. This is hostile. There's something in the shadows. This is not like, ooh, I'm big, I'm strong, I'm brave. It's, oh, I'm scared and there are things in here I don't want to encounter.
Hi, I'm Jerv, and I'm one of the concept artists on Varlamore, The Final Dawn. The Final Dawn, I wanted to feel way more in tune with nature and the animals and much more natural materials used, and it's really mutualistic, like they're one and the same. So I took a lot of inspiration from the Mesoamerican Aztec ruins and wanted to get that feel across with the entire architecture of the city. When designing something new for Old School, there's a lot of channeling that inner child who used to play Old School growing up. You go in hard and then choosing when you want to spend a lot of time designing your boss. We knew it wanted to be an insectoid. Mod Mack already established that as well. And we wanted to keep the conversation between Mack and I to really implement the game mechanics into the design itself with the shield hands they have, and then just playing around with ways to incorporate the demonic elements in, and more it kind of started taking form and shape. It was a fun little dance of just balancing all those elements to see what we got. We spent quite a bit of time designing the Doom's boss arena as well. We wanted the wall kits to be reused to some degree as it cascades down into different layers, but taking hints of each other to become more and more scary, more and more intimidating, and now stuff is getting real. And I tried to go about this a bit more freestyle about every design element I put down, just to see what feels right.
Hello, I'm Old School Surma, and I am a senior audio designer. The Final Dawn covers a wide range of different locations, characters, and emotions, and we wanted to express all of this in the audio. Myself and Mod Jamesy read through all the documentation to re-immerse ourselves, which allowed us to start sketching out musical ideas. One of the challenges that we faced for the Doom boss was that there were so many things going on that we had to make sure that all the audio and all the audio cues was clearly audible, so that way the players can hear what attacks are coming. My biggest inspiration for the music is the fantastic story and lore of the quest itself. I wanted to make sure that my music and sounds reflect the emotional journey that the story takes us on. When playing Old School RuneScape, the players have a certain expectation of what they will hear. We have a certain set of custom tools that we use to create our sounds and music. We can always make sure that we're keeping to the Old School RuneScape sound signature. If I had to pick a favourite piece of music, it must be the track that concludes the Varlamore storyline. This can be heard in the final combat encounter of the quest. It's a suitable epic to conclude the saga. It's a track that incorporates the key Varlamore musical theme that I first wrote back in 2019. We've had an opportunity to see this theme develop in various tracks, and now this piece of music brings this theme to an exhilarating close. There are over 10 new music tracks for this update, and each music track reflects their environment. We want you to feel really immersed with this music when you're adventuring through these lands, and we really hope you enjoy what you hear.
So you might be asking, how do we put this all together? Working with art, working with audio, all sorts of disciplines. We're there talking to each other throughout the entire process, from concept all the way through to release. Art have done an amazing job of providing us this amazing landscape. There's almost a canvas for us to paint on in terms of content, where to put things. We've had awesome back and forths with our animators. They've done an amazing job with the quests and everything else, and audio as well. We tend to look at areas that already exist in game, and we always want to come back to, does it feel old school? Which I really think we've hit with this update. It's been an amazing journey, and to see it all put together at the end is truly amazing.